Hello, my name is Winsley, and welcome to my beginner's guide on food sharing. Food sharing is a mechanic that I have not really used too much in the past, but with some of the changes to how colonies grow and how quickly sector exploitations become useful, I think food sharing has become a little bit better and something that you should be using a little bit more than in previous versions of the game. In this video, we're going to talk about um, three things. We're going to talk about what is food sharing. We're going to talk about why you want to use it and when you want to use it. So, what is food sharing? If you click on a colony that is producing extra food in this tab right here, the colonist tab, it has a tab or a section for sharing food. Right now this place is making 26 food and it's not sharing it with anyone. I think I have this location taking food because I want it to grow a little bit more, to grab some things around it. It's taking 33 food and it's getting it from, I think it's saying Donix is where it's coming from. Let's try and find that location really quickly. He's sharing 56 food, and I think that's the only one that's getting to that location. It says minus 23 food of that 56 because there's a 40% tax, which could be reduced further if I use this thing over here. If I use this building, I can reduce how much that is reduced before sending it over to a new location. So yeah, it's pretty useful if you've got these like bigger colonies that can support your smaller ones, but not so great in the early game. Much better in the mid game and in the late game. Now, why do you want to do that? Let's say Sirarov wants to get this location right here. This landmark is going to help this place build better units more often. I think it comes with it doesn't come with the special building, the reinforcement factory. It doesn't look like it, at least. Oh, it does. It says so right here that we could use that to build better units. And it has been a city that I used to build units. It's got good production here and a research sector, which I think can be used to boost, yeah, the experience on the levels that are built there. So this place, I really want to get that location in there a little bit quicker, and if I can do that one turn sooner using food sharing, that's definitely worth doing. This is going to take 2 turns, and it looks like it needs, what's 190 minus 136? It needs about 60 food, so we're about halfway to growing this in 1 turn. If I wanted to take this location, which pumps could be useful here, there are definitely slots that I could throw them in, and it might be more efficient to keep them there. But overall, it may be better just to have better units. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say you should share all and sell excess. You can still grow by sharing half, but I like the ability to just kind of like have your bigger city sit at a certain population and then share a bunch of food. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to take our location over here to 1 turn. You know, the taxing, it's a big deal. So it's actually gaining quite a bit of food here. I could take off quite a bit and it would still grow in 1 turn. So you don't need to send all of your places to food sharing. I think by having us sell our excess, we make some money, right? Let's see how this compares to here, how our income compares when I say, you know what, don't take any food. Prevent deficit. I think all the food that's being shared, instead of going here, will all of a sudden become money. So it's good. Take again, just compare. So I'm making 349 here, and if I go to prevent deficit, it added like 30 income. It's not very efficient, at least in terms of resource production for the workers that you put on a job. If you've got a worker making just 5 food, and then you convert that into gold, which is going to lose some of its value in the tax. Let's go find a place that's being taxed. Yeah, like 40% of our food production is being lost, and then the rest is being converted into energy. That means that if you just in the first place gone for energy, you'd be getting more energy, but getting food early is worthwhile. So you may have some food buildings left over. So you keep that in mind when you're making your decision. There are a lot of factors that go into whether or not you should be food sharing or not. And I think now is a good time to bring up a graph that I put together to kind of help you quickly visually understand the differences between each level of population. Just give me a second to go over to my OBS and pull up the graph. Here we go. So I went through 5 different games on 5 different game speeds, the very slow, slow, normal, fast, and very fast, and used console commands to figure out the exact values that you need to grow a population from 2 pops to 3 pops and from 10 pops to 11 pops and all the different settings. If we go into this guy, he's at 17 pops, right? So let's just verify that. It takes 413 food in order to grow from 17 pops to 18 pops. Oh, and let's grab this and move it over so you can actually see the numbers when I highlight them. I think that should be a good spot for it. So yeah, if I go back over to here, you can see that this one requires 413 pops to go from 17 to 18, as I just said, and my graph has that value right here on the normal setting column. So yeah, I think if you look at this graph, you'll notice that each step is going to require a little bit more food, and over time, once you get to over 16 pops, it starts to require a lot more food. So basically that means that there's a point of diminishing returns, and if you're playing on very slow, you're going to hit that point a little bit earlier, and if you're playing on very fast, you're going to hit that point a little bit later. It might be better if you're playing on the very fast setting not to do any food sharing and just to get more income out of your bigger cities faster, because really what you're doing by sending food over is you're sacrificing some of your long-term income in the big colony to make more in the smaller colony, and that is most of the time worth it, but there are other factors that you have to consider, like happiness. Say we got this pop, say we got like, I don't know, 10 more pops here. We'd start to approach the point where we don't want any more pops because our happiness is getting out of control and we don't want rioters. So even if you have a lot of food growth in a city, and you can still make more resources there if you want to like have it make a lot of energy or a lot of research, it can still be better to send that food away because you want to maintain your happiness, or maybe you want to keep a high happiness income so that you can get happiness events. Those are pretty good overall, so definitely something that's worth keeping in the back of your mind. Let's see, what else did I have in my notes here for when and why you should food share. So right, you can grow 2 pops in one turn, and when you sell your excess, that no longer happens. So maybe you don't want to sell excess, maybe you want to share half, and just have a bunch of people share half. That could work out in your end. If you're starting to run low in energy, if you're in a war that's really demanding, we're not right now, but we could use that to get more energy to maintain our armies. If maybe your popular support runs out and you start to have a negative upkeep, you could start getting energy from it that way, but I'd probably use it more to buy a hero. If you're just like 50 energy short, maybe you want to sell your energy income for a turn just to get that energy, or maybe you need operations in a war, so just getting a little bit more energy could be worth it. yeah, that's, I think, all we had to talk about before I moved on to the forums post that actually inspired this. I uh, I saw on the Paradox forums that there was a question about population growth from a while back, and I kind of knew already that I wanted to talk about food sharing, but I wanted to have a better understanding of it, and I really liked the whole idea of um, trying to find out the curve that actually calculates the values that we have in my graph. Um, let's not forget to hop on over to the forums post. Here we go. We got it up, and maybe I'll minimize my graph for a minute here so you can see what I'm looking at. Yeah, I just found it easier to go through and do console commands. I'm sure if I paid more attention in my statistics class, it would have been easier for me to figure out the values associated with the curve, or rather the curve associated with the values, and to maybe find the values in the coding for the game itself. But I I just I figured it'd be easier to do console commands. So yeah, big shout out to Crowley for getting this discussion started. I really liked Mr. No's response here. Mr. No is very active on Steam, on the Steam discussions and Steam guides. He's got some great content on Planetfall, so shout out to him for doing all that work, and also for finding this equation right here. This equation should produce the results that we see here, or something close to it. Those values are actually slightly different than what I have in my data set. Maybe I'll pull that back up so you can see them side by side again. So yeah, my values are slightly different for normal than what they recorded there, and that makes me feel like these values, the way the food growth is actually decided, that will probably change again sometime in the future. I don't know if it's going to be near future or far away from now. So take everything that I'm saying here with a grain of salt. I do think they'll keep the fact that it's going to require more food every time you get a pop to get to the next level. It's just how much that they're probably gonna balance and rebalance. I don't know. I can't predict the future, so there could be other things that they have planned. Maybe they're gonna get rid of pops entirely, like when Stellaris added pops. That'd be kind of wild, huh? Yeah, I think that's actually everything I wanted to say about food sharing. We've talked about what it is, why you'd want to do it, and when it is a good idea. Growing places that you can protect, that's generally a good idea. If it's far away and you think an opponent might get it, then I probably wouldn't share food with it. But yeah, I think we'll wrap this one up here. So yeah, thanks for joining me. I had a lot of fun. If there's anything that you'd like to know more about, like food sharing, let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you around. Have a good one.